Oh, for crying out loud. He's trying to smile.
Hi, welcome.
Get your serious pieces on, guys.
Let's go. Okay, are we actually ready?
Yes.
Are we? Hello, and welcome to the Spirit Hunters podcast. I'm Lance White Eagle, and joining us today are
Brenda White Eagle.
Chrissy Holtz.
Hunter White Eagle. Monkey.
Lisa.
Shane. And today we're going to be talking about our investigation at the World War II Museum in Eldred, Pennsylvania. And do you want to talk, Shane, some about how we decided to go there?
Well, actually, it was Bill Robertson, Ghost Revisited 1 through 6. One of our part-time team members and somebody we work with a lot. He asked us to do an investigation for our private residence. Well, you can't really talk about that one too much. And she went over there and called me and said, look, they want to do this. She actually pitched it for us, so didn't have to do much.
I actually didn't know that. That's really cool.
Yep. It's a really world-renowned, great museum, World War II museum. Steve Appleby's the curator. Jesse Case is the director. And man, we have a lot of fun there. And what a beautiful place. I could spend a week in there.
Yeah, great displays. And
Beautiful.
Steve was incredibly nice.
Yeah.
He was a
curator.
really cool guy.
Very
Yeah,
helpful.
it's nice.
Organized well.
The easygoing, down to earth kind of guy.
And it's very big. You wouldn't think of that in such a small town, you
Right.
know, but it's really nice.
Yeah.
It's a very
And
small
it's-
town. It started out as a small little place, probably as big as this room. And then they bought the building next door, and they bought the building, the furniture warehouse beside that, and then they combined the three. So we had multiple levels of places to investigate.
Now it's this massive building that's got a lot of activity.
Yeah, yeah, and a lot of really cool, like,
Memorabilia.
displays and things donated, full-size ambulance and transport
And
vehicles
the
in
periscope that you can actually
there.
see
Yeah, working
outside
periscope that's attached to the ceiling that you can,
The roof.
Right, goes
Yeah.
right out the roof. You
It's
can
really
actually
cool.
see the ridge across the
yeah.
See deer in the field.
They have a Holocaust room there's a lot about this place that will make you a little teary. The first day we did a walkthrough a couple weeks ago, it was sad.
Are we allowed to talk about the thing yet?
No.
No,
No, still can't.
no.
Yeah,
But the
there's-
Holocaust room did make me tear up every time I went in there because the photographs.
Yeah, and the horrible stories of somebody,
Right.
you know.
Yeah, and what Hunter mentioned, there's a new display coming that we can't talk about yet because it hasn't been unveiled. But you know, when it is, I'm sure it'll be open by the time this video's up.
It's gonna be.
Yeah,
blown
so
up, right?
if you guys are local, or even if you're not local, you should stop by. And
We
check
should
it
say
out.
too, on our website, SpiritHunters.group, we have the link to the World War II Museum and some other friends of ours that have been helpful to us. We really would recommend that you check this place out. Great learning experience for children too.
Mhm.
May have to, censor some rooms. There are some helmets with bullet holes and things like that, but it was really a great place.
Yeah. So initially, Shane, Lisa, and Hunter went to scope it out, do a walkthrough the week before. I think we went, right?
Yeah,
A
and a
couple
half,
weeks,
Yeah. Lisa, you want to talk about your experience during the walkthrough before the investigation was even?
Yeah, so there's this room. It's called the Blue Room. I imagine because the floor is blue. But there's an ambulance in there, some type of Jeep or truck or something.
It's it's a
It's
van-
the
van
older
carrier.
version of an LMTV for all you military guys.
Yeah, there's a bunch of cool stuff in there. Some airplanes hanging from the ceiling. Some, big canvas. What do you call the things you jump out of the airplane with?
Parachute.
Parachutes. Ding ding ding. Yeah. So
Side by side motorcycle.
we were in there for a while, and we came in. The one entrance was getting ready to go out the other one that leads to the part that you were talking about, the
Holocaust room.
Holocaust room. But there, that door there's 2 sets of stairs, one that goes up and then one that goes down like into like the basement for like storage. And Hunter was in the room too, but you were a little bit.
No, I was behind you.
You were
Okay,
behind
that's
me.
why I said I think I have it on video.
So your dad was standing by one of the trucks, and I'm getting ready to head to the other exit, and I see like this big flash of light, this big white flashlight, and right after that is a tall figure, like a big black mass, like apparition person. So I turned and I said to Shane, I said, "Did you see that?" And he said that you thought you saw like a white flare or something.
I was looking in to the right at one of the trucks, the back of the truck. It was cool. All I saw was a flash of the light on the back side of my glasses. It's which made me turn. She asked if I saw that, but at the same time, she's running after this
Yeah, because I
shadow
wanted to see
figure.
where it was or where it went. So I'm like running down the hall trying to catch this thing, and
You
I
guys
lost
hear that
it.
noise? It's our coffee pot in the background. So
I lost it. So we get down there and I go to the end of the hall and then I turn left. There's a guy working there, and I asked him, "Did you just come in here? Like, were you already in here?" And he was like, "I've been here for a while. Why? What did you see?" So then it made me think that, maybe
He's
these
probably
other
saw
people
something, yeah.
have seen other
It's
things
usually
there
not the
too.
first question. You
What
say,
did
when
you
you're like,
see?
"Hey, you've been here a while. Why?
Right.
What'd you see?"
what was it? What was it?
So I explained to him what I saw, and he was like, "Well, I was here. I was in here. I just got here, but there was no way he literally had just got
Yeah,
there
no.
because he was already messing around with wires. He was down on his hands and knees, and
Yeah.
whatever. But I think that whatever it was went into the Holocaust.
No, real. Yeah. I did follow up with that guy a few minutes later. I said, "Well, how long has it been since you walked through there last?" He said, "About 15 minutes."
Yeah.
So it wasn't him.
Yeah.
And it would have been impossible for him to run around and all the way run back. And it was.
But I thought it was pretty cool.
It was really.
During our walkthrough, you want to tell them what you saw during our walkthrough in the same room?
Yeah, and I hadn't even talked to Lisa yet to see where she saw, what she saw. We were in the same room with the vehicles and whatnot.
The blue room.
The blue room. And I was walking around. I walked, and Lance had walked behind the one vehicle, and he was kind of like over here. Here's the vehicle. Here's where I'm standing. And I went to find him, and I swear I saw him walking like this way. And I looked at him, and I went to go meet him on the other side of the vehicle, and he was on the other side. So like I saw something. It was like a tall, dark figure kind of walking around. Went to meet him, and there was nobody there.
So how tall deep was that you saw approximately?
Geesh. I don't know because it was like a step. There's how there's
Oh,
a couple steps up.
yeah.
So
Okay, yeah, because what you saw,
It
you
was a-
assumed to be around 6 foot. I'm
yeah,
6
at
foot
least
tall,
at least
so
6
Yeah.
feet tall
yeah.
And when
and
we were
slender.
Yeah.
when we were doing the spirit box in that blue room, truck room, I saw it, something over there peek out. Remember, you were on
Yeah.
the parabolic
Oh.
microphone.
Yeah,
and
you saw the dark.
What I saw,
figure.
well, sort of. What I saw was what looked like something peek out of the doorway and look at me, and then kind of duck his head back within that fast. Like, oh, whatever.
Yeah.
Lance, like I said, was on the parabolic microphone, which is like this dish that's like supersonic hearing for you guys that don't know. So I walk over there to check it out, and then as I'm over there, Lance says he can hear. You said it was a woman that sounded like she was saying like, psst, psst, or like
Yeah, like far away.
like something getting my attention type of thing.
Yeah.
So 3 people, all at different times. Once was a completely different occasion. Saw something
Yeah.
else that exact area.
Yeah. Something
So,
dark.
Different day.
Yeah.
We should note too that there were a number of volunteers and employees in the past that have had experiences there. Several college students that were volunteered from a bunch of different colleges in the area, St. Bonaventure and so forth, had experiences, especially on the 3rd floor. They said that they would hear voices and things would move and they'd see shadows. at one point, the previous owner, who was not a believer in the paranormal whatsoever, kind of a, a rough,
Curmudgeon.
older man, and he calls the curator, Steve, and he says, "Get those uniforms that we have in storage out on display now." And Steve's like, "Well, we have to circulate. We don't have enough room for all these,
Because they had
He
the
goes-
windows and they didn't want them to get sun bleached too.
Right. He says, Hunter always does that to me. Oh, he says, the ghosts are coming after me. He was scared. He said, the ghosts are coming after me. Get them out now or they're going to get me. Something like that. So, I mean, that's somebody that,
Right. Now he's a believer.
he's a believer. Now, since then he's passed away, but
Yeah.
there was a lot of energy in that building. When I did an initial walkthrough with Hunter and I and Lisa, the whole time I was in there, I felt every hair in my body just energized. It was really a weird feeling because we were there 2 hours. Sometimes you get that creepy feeling, or your skin, your hair will stick up. But this was like that, my entire body the whole time. It was pretty cool.
That was at the walkthrough?
Just to walk through it, yeah.
Yeah, and then the investigation, how long were we there?
Ooh, I don't
Several
know.
hours.
Yeah.
Hours. Yeah.
From
Well,
got
we got
there
there
at
at
6.
6.
I think we left at 3 or 2.
Well, it was
About
quarter to 3.
8, 9 hours about we were
Yeah.
there.
So during setup, did anybody get anything going on during, so we got there, while we were setting up stuff,
Right. Hunter and I,
No, I was
And-
stuck setting up the equipment the whole time.
Hunter and I and Lisa were setting up stuff. None of you guys had did the walkthrough with us, so they were looking around, exploring. We took a few extra people because of the size of the place. Our son, my oldest son Dakota, his girlfriend Lisa, and
Sarah.
Bill Robertson was there for a while. Our daughter Sarah was there. So we had some extra
Scotty.
bodies.
Scotty,
Scotty,
yeah.
yep.
And Sarah, she used the SLS camera while we were still trying to set up.
She got
And
a
Oh
lot.
yeah,
Yeah,
while
she-
we were setting up, she was
Really?
She
shooting
caught
figures.
She
a
got a lot of
figure
stuff.
in the room where we were setting up, sitting in one of the chairs.
Yeah.
Just kind of
In
chilling.
one of the
sitting
really
there.
just like watching us
Just
pretty
watching
much.
us, yeah.
Yeah, we were in a large open room with several rows of chairs in it, and yeah, she was seeing.
One of
Was
the
that your chair?
walkies,
Lisa's chair squeaking.
one of the walkies kept going off when you were sitting up.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I've actually come to the conclusion. I think that walkie might have been fried from that other
Oh,
place.
yeah.
'Cause I noticed the last couple of when I paid attention, it did that the last few investigations too. So
Yeah, we had a place of really high milligas readings, and it fried a camera and some of our equipment.
millicost readings. But-
So let's see. So that just during setup initial though, nobody. Well, Sarah got the figures, but other than that, no.
No, I think we wouldn't have.
No, I don't think anyone
noticed
really
anyway,
had
we were
any-
so busy.
Oh yes, your music box and the rim pot upstairs.
Yeah,
Oh, well, that was After we had we have a number of cameras. When we put all the cameras in place, then we start grabbing different types of paranormal tools and putting them in front of cameras. So I go up to the 3rd floor where the uniforms are. It's also the library, and I put a paranormal music box down and a REM pod. And as I was doing this, I typically will talk to the spirit, say, "Hey, we're here. We're a respectful group. We're meaning you no harm, and we would like to be able to share your experiences." I said, when I come back, you can use these things to help communicate, and we can have a conversation. As soon as I said that, the paranormal music box and the REM pod started going off and stayed going off for a long, long time. And I said, well, this is great. I really appreciate this, but I still have to set up. I'll be back. I went all the way down to the 1st floor. We could still hear those going off upstairs. And we reviewed some of that camera. It continued for quite some time until we actually had to say, "This is getting a little annoying now. Could you make it stop?"
And that music box was facing a bunch of uniforms on the wall in the
Yes,
library,
it was
correct?
facing
And
the uniforms.
at one point in time, if you faced it towards the uniforms, it's like something was moving over there, and then when you moved the music box this way, it would stop, and when you moved it back towards the uniforms, it would start going off again.
Right, and it would, in the beginning, it was really fast music. Hunter could probably explain it a little better. The ultra, what is it? Pulses. When it reaches something on these outer limits of its scanning area, the music is very slow. Ding, ding, you know, the closer it gets, the faster the music gets. What? By ding ding?
No, they're these two.
Monkey
yawn.
yawn. This is like,
Yeah.
Stop it.
Is he gonna yawn too? So we had that during setup. You didn't get much during the
no,
setup.
send up equipment.
Yeah. Steve is very nice, but he is so excited about
He's
history.
very energetic about
As
it.
we were like, well, we're going to do a quick walkthrough. And then he was like, no, come here. we were talking to him for quite a while because he's so, which is really cool to see because he's been doing it for
Well,
years.
you gotta think he's a 28-year-old veteran whose grandfather or father worked.
28-year veteran.
Grandfather on both sides.
Yeah.
He had an American grandfather and a German grandfather.
Who
both in
worked
the war.
directly
Both in the
under
war.
Hitler.
Yeah.
His uncle, his great uncle.
Oh, great
His
uncle. That's what it
grandpa's
was.
brother.
Yeah.
Yeah, but he's just, and it's a little infectious. He's so excited about the history.
Yeah, it's
He
But
really,
like he's so like
doing.
no, let me tell you about this.
Yeah.
Like, come look at this.
and he's very knowledgeable.
Yeah.
He knows his stuff.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, extremely knowledgeable, and he's just his energy makes you excited to learn.
Yeah.
Very
you know?
animated.
Yeah,
Mhm.
very cool guy.
In the best way possible, I guess.
Yeah.
So.
It was cute when he was going through the photo album, and he's like, ever since I was younger, I always had a gun with me, and he showed us the different pictures of him holding
Of him,
different ones.
yeah.
Well, let's get to like after the setup.
Okay.
It's
Well,
about
early
things
on
that
shortly after the setup too, I took Scotty and I gestured towards Monkey. It wasn't. I was about to say me and you went, but it was Scott.
Yeah.
You would just set up the motion sensor doorbell in the basement, where
Who did?
one of you guys did. Put the motion
Oh,
sensor
maybe.
thing in the
I
basement.
did.
Probably should.
Yeah.
And Scott didn't know how to get down there because
Yeah.
it's 3 separate buildings that they've connected, so it is a little confusing.
Yeah.
We ended up in the
there's
wrong
two
basement.
different separate.
Yeah, he
places.
went to the
Yeah.
workshop part.
Yeah, Scott was like, "Oh, I'm going to check out the basement," but it was the storage section of the
maintenance-
basement. Yeah.
Yeah, maintenance area.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we went down into the other one where they have the displays and stuff. And Scott walks through and the doorbell chimes. It's like an electronic doorbell that we use as a motion sensor because, and it's handy. It's come in handy a lot.
It's very
Uh,
handy.
and then I walk through and it dings. And then a couple seconds later it dings again like something was just following us down there, just walking right few steps behind. And Scotty was like, "Was that us?" And I was like, "I don't think so, since we're behind a partition and they
Yeah.
can't see us anymore."
Yeah, when I went down there for a little bit too, it went off 3 or 4 times, and I was just sitting on a bench, and then one time I was in the far corner. I asked it. They had this battle display that lit up and stuff like that, and I asked it to turn it on. There's a little push button that turns it on, and it went on. Whatever was down there, it seemed like it really wanted to communicate. We also got a lot of Envoy hits with that too.
So you have to push a button to turn those on?
There is a motion sensor on the one side, but it wasn't by that.
It was on another floor. I was by one and it came on and I thought maybe it was a...
Well, a couple were motion.
Like the
activated.
ones in the
Somewhere
bunkers, those little bunker room ones.
Yeah,
Those ones were
No,
motion.
it was a big one with kind of a...
Oh, that one in the
Lock
main
in the middle.
room off the room we were in,
Yeah.
that's not motion activated.
So
And
that...
supposedly, he told us that the day that when they had to shut it off because it can't miss. Things weren't working right.
Mhm.
And they were going to get rid of the
Right.
display.
Something was setting it off.
Well, perhaps it's a spirit setting it off because
Yeah.
it did when I was in that room.
Possibly, yeah.
So, what did you get exciting there, Mama?
Well, in conjunction with Sarah, because she had that
SLS.
SLS camera, it's a camera that maps out substance, like figures.
Yeah, only people.
Only
Only
people.
people. The computer chip in
It
it.
doesn't-
pulls
It picks
away
up a
anything.
cat.
It's originally a Connect system. It's just
Yeah,
kind of
Xbox
remodified,
Connect. Yeah.
remodified for ghost hunting purposes.
So we were on the 3rd floor, and there was a display of a helmet on some type of ballistic, and it was just surrounded with a spirit that was just moving around on it. And I pulled out a chair at the table under it, and Sarah was looking through the thing. It came down and sat on the chair.
Beside you.
And then I sat on the chair, and then another one came and sat on the chair beside me. So that was exciting for me. So I was talking to them, telling them appreciate their service and their sacrifice and things like that. And they were just like chilling out.
Chilling
And
out,
that was
relaxing
exciting
on
for
You
the-
me.
seem to have a lot of spirits that like you and like to hang out with you.
Well, it did happen to me one other place where a spirit came and sat down beside me, and I talked to him a while.
Yeah.
But you also
At
communicate
Van
with
Horn,
that
right?
K2 meter a
Mhm.
lot.
Van Horn Mansion?
And there's, you know.
But no, at the
She started talking before
Myers.
Spirit Hunters.
Oh,
We did a
before
little
Before
Spirit
thing,
Hunters.
yeah.
went
Oh.
to Myers with a different ghost hunting group and did.
Yeah. Now, did
But-
you get
This one was exciting.
a bunch of K2s too? I can't.
I had a-
Actually, I didn't see you that much.
Yeah,
during
I
that.
didn't either.
Yeah.
I was mostly up there because there was a lot of activity. There were sounds. There was humming. From the humming came from where the uniforms on the left side, the right side
Female?
of the wall. Female humming.
Lisa,
Could you tell
Lisa and I
what
heard
the
humming up
song
there
was,
too.
or-
I couldn't
Did you
tell the
know?
song. It was just like 3 or 4 notes, and then it stopped, and
Okay.
then a few notes,
Was
and then
that
it stopped.
before Shane and Lisa radioed about the humming?
Yeah.
That was me that radioed the first time.
Oh, I
and
didn't
then-
hear anybody radio about
It
it.
was me, Lisa, in the 3rd floor.
Oh, it could
I
have
think it
been
was us.
before then,
Probably.
I heard, I was like, oh, there was a humming
was-
when you guys just hummed.
by myself.
Oh, no.
Oh.
Lisa did.
I was with-
First noticed it when we were together.
Yeah, no, I was with somebody upstairs, the top floor. I don't
Yeah.
remember who. And I said, "Do you guys hum or whatever?" And then
Oh, I do remember
you
that
guys
was
just-
earlier than
you
Lisa
guys
and I.
recalled that right little after. Did you guys just do
No,
that humming
I
again?
called.
Oh, that was you.
Yeah, you radioed, so you heard a woman humming upstairs.
Yeah.
And then you heard a woman humming upstairs.
And what was odd is
Mine might have been first, unless she radioed in, because I didn't.
there were women
She didn't radio.
uniforms all
Yeah.
along that wall
Yeah,
where
possibly.
the female humming was
Yeah, so
coming
So she
from.
heard it, I heard it, and,
And
then
then
you
right
heard it in
after-
a different.
Right after
excuse me.
you had radioed,
Yeah.
like a
Did
few
you just hum
minutes.
again?
like Scott and I are walking
Yeah.
through, and we heard very clear, like a woman, like,
Yeah.
That's what I heard.
like that's when I
Yeah.
radioed, and you were like, nope. So we went in, and Lisa and
Yeah.
Cody, other Lisa, were sitting in that main room, and I was like, "Are you guys humming?" And they were like, "Nope, like that is not us."
That's not us.
So that's
That's over
5
there.
different incidences at different times.
And she wasn't.
And
It
we all
wasn't
heard humming.
unpleasant or anything.
No, it
No,
was
it
a
was just-
pleasant little humming,
just
like you're doing some work and you just.
Yeah,
It makes
exactly.
me wonder.
You
So
know.
you know how we were in the truck room? I had the parabolic chamber, the microphone on,
Mhm.
and Scott and I both heard that help me at the same time, and then I heard the high heels.
Yeah.
I wonder if the high heels was possibly her. You know.
Well, I
I
mean,
think there was more than that because wasn't it with you, Lisa, and the rods that we ascertained there were 47 spirits in that 3rd floor?
I remember doing the rods and asking, but I
Yeah.
don't remember if that was the room.
Yeah,
I
because
was
we
there.
said more
She
than
said
10.
47.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it
So
was
it was
like
the 3rd floor?
47 were there.
And just the 3rd floor.
And I don't know if it was just the 3rd floor or the whole
I think
building.
they moved
But
around.
I,
I mean, either
said
way.
here.
That's a lot.
Yeah, that is. That's a lot of.
Now, if it's just on the 3rd floor, imagine what's in the
Well,
overall building.
We were on the 3rd
I would
floor
imagine
when we
more.
Yeah, but
asked.
she just said here, so it's probably.
Yeah.
And I
talking about
meant
the whole-
here on this floor, but I didn't say. I don't
Yeah.
think I said on this floor, did I?
I don't think so.
Yeah.
Oh, there was 47.
There was
there.
other noise things too. When we were up there doing, later with in that same area, in the far corner to the right
Behind
where the
us.
uniforms are, we kept hearing like shifting, something moving over there. We looked to see if there was like a vent or there's not, We still don't know what it was because there's a lot of stuff. There's cases and clothes and uniforms all over there.
Did one of your
We never
equipment
did.
keep going off over there? A
Yeah,
REM
yeah.
pod?
The what's it called under the text thing?
Laser
walking
grid
through?
or the grid tracker.
Thing, yeah.
Yeah, there's a grid tracker that went off multiple times. We noticed too on the camera the other day when the video we were watching, something came up and like touched it too.
It didn't map anything out, but it flickered.
I
and
did
went
all
off.
yeah, like something really close.
Like just
And it was green, which means it was something
Yeah.
close to it.
Right. I also, oddly enough, they have this room that they opened up. It was an old apartment, but they use it for storage. It goes off the third floor. We had a camera down there. I'm anxious to see what that was because I saw what looked like a dark black head poke out.
That's right.
And
I
look
was
at
up
me.
there when you saw
And then
that.
it sees me, and I'm like, hey, there's a head. And he goes, you know,
What staircase was that by?
no, it's
that
in
was
the-
in that
that
apartment.
apartment that we were not
Oh.
allowed in.
Now,
Yeah.
Monkey, your cousin and I were walking through the blue room. Like you said, the like sounded like something shifting.
Shifting, yeah.
We heard that, got that a lot, and I think it started to unnerve Scott
We
after
might
a
have.
bit.
We have.
Yeah, he was
watched that
getting
on the
really
camera.
Because like at first he was like, "Oh, that's cool. Did you hear that?" And then we hear more of it, and it was weird. All right, that's a brick wall,
Yeah.
right? You know how like the thin like sheet metal-y walls make that vibrating
Yeah.
sound? Like the brick kind of seemed like it did that for a second. We were like, and I turned my flashlight and I was like, that's not like sheet metal wall, like right? Like it did this like
And
weird
the
like
brick is on a concrete floor.
vibrating,
It's not like
vibrating.
it's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that third floor, unless they have apartment.
Scott started to get. At first he was like, "Oh, that's cool," but then we walked around the trucks and we hit that one spot he did not like.
Oh,
and then after
yeah.
that, when we started hearing shifting and stuff, he was getting a little like, and then he jumped pretty good because like where the periscope is like the local
Yeah.
BOCES made it like look like a submarine like interior, and it's really cool.
It's really awesome.
You guys saw a picture of it on the.
Yeah. And so he's getting a little, whatever was in between these cars just made him uncomfortable.
Really?
And then we're hearing all this stuff move and shift around and like,
Well, him and Hunter
Did you hear
both
that?
heard
Did you hear
like
that?
voices and stuff there.
Well, we were
I
all
I
together.
heard whispering, and it was by the truck over here that had like the canteens hanging
Yeah,
off of
that-
it.
yeah.
I
did
kept
not.
hearing whispering. In
Well,
that
tell them about,
area.
but,
you know.
well, he started to go into the periscope area and it's got automated lights.
Mhm.
So like he turns and walks in and it, dude, yeah, I thought he could he had a heart attack. Like he jumps back.
I think we have that on camera
Oh my
too.
God.
It did that to me because I didn't expect a bunch of lights to come on
Yeah.
when I was walking. I mean, it's pitch black.
And it's
in
like
there.
these like dark red, like you know, like
yeah.
freaking
Right.
Those submarine
Yeah,
lights.
It's
yeah.
kind of cool looking.
yeah.
That when you saw that shadow figure, didn't you guys hear something? You and Scotty.
On the other side of the room, though.
Right, and he took a step back.
Well,
on that
actually,
too,
me,
didn't he?
Chris, and Scott all heard it at the same time. It was like a woman's or a man's voice. Actually, no, it was me, you, and Lance heard it.
Yeah.
You were on the parabolic microphone. I heard several words of a man's voice. I couldn't make them out. And then because I knew Christy heard it. At the same time, we both went like this, and we're like listening over there. She goes, "I just heard it." I was like, "I heard it too." And then Lance said on the thing that he heard it as well. Couldn't make it out. But all at the same time, all of us saw that. You know, so I heard it.
I like it when multiple people can see.
Also-
Yeah, and it happened so many times in that one session. Multiple times, Scott heard it, Chrissy and I heard it, you heard it, whoever heard it. You know.
And didn't you also, when I was on the spirit box, you were on the mic, or maybe it was you, but you heard walking around the chair? Like
I can't
somebody
remember if it
walking
was-
around.
Scotty
Was it
said
you,
he heard
Scott?
walking around
I
the
was-
chair.
Lisa was saying
You
that
were-
too, that she kept.
Yeah.
Like,
Oh,
yeah,
well,
No,
she was in her
I
separate
using
I
a
felt
parabolic.
someone walking.
Yeah.
You could hear it. Like Chrissy in a it was you because you
I could
fidget
feel that,
sometimes. So
yeah.
I was like staring at her because you could
Mm.
on the
Oh,
parabolic.
you could pick up everything.
yeah,
Yeah.
like it's very clear, like just footsteps.
Keep in mind, it's a
And so I'm
concrete
like
floor.
watching you, like, is she rocking the chair? But no, she's perfect, and it's just something walking around.
Yeah.
And like, yeah, with the parabolic, you can hear everything. And
Scotty
it's just,
said somebody walked around him in that same chair too.
yeah, you could.
like
I think I did hear it. with
Lisa
Scott.
had that experience there too with the sensor deprivation.
Mine, I think, was a little different though, because the way I felt it and the way I described it as, It felt like somebody had a jackhammer
Oh yeah.
because it was just like it was pounding, but it was like a fast pounding, but it was I could feel like the
Yeah.
whole thing vibrating.
And I think I agree. Like the overall, almost everything we encountered in there, I was like, this is really cool. It's this, like they're curious, or like we'll talk about later, wanting to just have a conversation.
Right.
But I will agree with Scott. Whatever was kind of hanging out between
And that
there was not.
It's not friendly.
That makes me wonder what the help me part was from. Because Scott and I both heard it, and it sounded very pitiful.
Like
Of-
distress.
Yeah, like someone was genuinely like saying, "Help me."
Yeah, I think
But
there was
it was a
at least
woman,
one
and then
man
right
there
after
was
that,
bad.
we heard the high heel footsteps walking several steps, going
We
towards
talked
the truck.
about this a little bit earlier, but in war, a lot of ugly things happen too. Well,
Horrendous
obviously,
things.
when we're talking about men and we want to look at them in a positive way, but horrible things happen to women. Lots of
On both sides.
this
it was
is the
actually
thing.
quite
If
horrendous.
you're a demonic thing, right, and you're feeding off of sorrow and pain, and you're looking for souls or whatever, right? Where else would you go? What better place where men are having to be forced to kill each other, and the horrible, all the atrocities that they're feeling and going through, how vulnerable they are, doing something that most of them were against their religion, right? How
Forced to do it.
I mean,
Yeah.
that's a perfect storm for a negative entity,
Yeah.
and to attach. to
So
something.
we
feed
can't
off
talk about the exhibit itself. Can we talk about the person attached?
No.
The stories about the
Yeah, you could tell what she did, just don't say what the exhibit
No.
was.
Yeah.
Yes, we can.
yeah. So, well, briefly, kind of.
I was able to record it and everything, so that part's fine.
Yeah, there was some documentation things the museum had
On the
about
wall,
a wife of a Nazi, like he was a general,
like
or
some
colonel.
kind of big high
I-
officer.
Yeah, somebody running that
Yeah.
particular.
Commandant of the
Camp.
of
of
the
the,
camp.
of a,
Yeah.
one of the
A higher ranking
concentration
official,
camps.
yeah.
And she was a horrendous
POS,
sociopath
big time.
who would
Just remember not to say what she does. Also.
no, but she would purposely like taunt and goad,
Yeah.
These
these people in the concentration camps, and then if they looked at her wrong, the one story was she'd walk through naked, and
Well, not just
if they
once.
looked at her,
She did it on a
Yeah.
many.
Well, he's saying the
She
one,
would
one of
order
the
for them to be
Right.
yeah,
killed.
if they looked
Killed.
at her, she'd
Yeah.
shoot them.
point at them and have them get shot.
And then she'd select certain ones to be executed because
Yeah.
she was
just-
a
she was demented big
sadistic,
time.
nasty person.
yes, and we got, which we'll go into more in depth later, but we got a spirit in there who flat out said like, there's a female here, she's not a soldier and she's connected to something here,
Yeah,
and
she was-
the other spirits there, we do not like her.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so she was,
Yeah.
She's evil.
Yeah.
They don't like
And,
her. Yeah.
but do you want to talk about in that room the readings you were getting out, you and Scott were getting by the flags?
Sure. Yeah, this was outside of the Holocaust
Holocaust
room.
room.
And I had the EVP meter, reader, and I was holding it around, and it was just, not getting a whole lot. And when you would actually take it and put it up against, the uniforms and the Nazi flag and different things around there, it would spike every time. And there was nothing, electronic or anything that would be setting it off. But it's just, the energy coming from that.
And two different meters,
Yeah.
red line
Yeah.
on this. Only not the other ones, but
It was
one
just the
particular
one-
Nazi
one
flag. You
uniform
hold it
and
up
one
like the
flag.
alarm starts going
Yeah.
off on the sense.
Well,
yeah,
also,
yeah,
it also did it on the bed of the troop carrier. Remember that? On the metal
that's
on the
and
right.
truck.
the canteen.
Keep in mind, they're
bag
all
things hanging
decommissioned
off.
vehicles, so
Yeah.
they're not. There's no batteries in them. There's nothing like that. But for some reason, on the bed of the troop carrier, Chrissy kept getting the K2 on there, and it.
And it was just that vehicle.
Yeah,
the
it
problems
was-
of the
Oh,
others.
we
and-
can talk about the other stuff in the Holocaust room, right?
Yeah,
the
just
one.
not the exhibit.
So, like in the case, and Monkey and Tana weren't able to come with us, but in the one case, they had whips that they, like the cat and nine tails,
Yeah.
from one of the, and I'm like, okay, these people are already tortured and
And
starved.
and then you know what? Let's just whip them with freaking
glass,
So,
and metal shard.
yeah, that was. That
It wasn't
room
enough
was-
for them to try to annihilate whole peoples.
Yeah, you got to
But-
torture
but
them.
they
in the
gotta
process.
Torture them in every
So
way
it's
they
the
can
Nazi flag
think
leading
of.
into that
Cruel.
room that spikes up
Yeah.
the things into warning levels and.
I don't know, and just the energy like the hair stuck up on my arms when I
Yeah.
was around that stuff.
Yeah.
The same thing happened when the help me thing, and that that doesn't happen often on investigations to me. And I was like, remember, it was literally like every hair. Lance was like, yeah, I can feel it. You know?
Yeah.
So
It's
there
weird.
were negative things
I think the things that were there
attached
in general
Was
were fine.
positive.
Yeah.
to
friendly.
attached to the
I
other
think
things.
they,
Yeah.
the woman that we were just talking about, there's an object of hers there
Yeah.
that's not that's temporarily, and
Yeah.
from what we got, kind of came with that. And the ones who are full-time residents there,
They don't like
they're
it.
not fans. You know.
Yeah, you would think that would be a horrible thing.
Yeah.
How you're attached to something that killed you or something because there's pistols and all
Yeah.
kinds of different
With
things.
that
Pistols and
object,
arms.
it's back to Sarah with the SLS camera. When she went in there, no, I'm not.
Yeah.
She picked up a couple figures around that one
Around the
particular.
display.
Really?
Well, that
Case.
makes
And
sense.
two,
too.
like at the
There
same
was
time.
two.
Really?
Yeah,
Wow.
and
And
they
that-
were just the one looked like it was kind of pacing,
Hmm.
and then the one was just kind of.
Oh yeah, I remember.
Yeah,
I
that was
went
when
in
we
there
first
one
got
time
there.
and there was a pacing figure on her machine.
That's pretty
Yeah.
cool.
Would leave some high.
That's honestly probably like the most continuous SLS action you've got. You know, more because a lot of times it's like, oh, there's something in this corner. Almost everywhere she went, she was picking something up. You know,
Yeah, well, there
seeing
was a lot of
things
spirits
move.
there, and everything was reacted to.
Well, because like a lot of times these stick figures that you see are like usually just one area moving their arms or body, but this thing, if it was actually moving, you know, that's
Pacing back and forth.
Yeah.
that's pretty wild.
Well, when it sat down on the one who sat down on the chair and I was looking at it,
Yeah,
sat down,
that's
put his
weird.
arm back like this, crossed his legs. You could see it.
Oh really?
Yeah.
That's,
like-
that's cool.
Yeah, just
And I was
chill
like-
there.
We had that recording. I don't know how. I mean, as long as it.
I hope it's on the recording.
Well,
yeah.
Grandma,
As long as she didn't
Grandma
stop it
also
before it died.
recorded the screen on her phone.
Oh, then yeah, we have it. Should have it twice.
I tried, but
Yeah,
I don't
so-
know if it came through.
And sometimes things shut our cameras off when we
Well,
record.
That's
you've
true.
had that too.
I had
I've
that
had-
happen multiple
that
times.
camera
I've
turned
had
off.
my recorder.
That was the one that was in the
turned
main
off a
lobby of the
couple
building.
times.
Yeah.
Like it would be I would be recording,
Well,
all of a sudden
it
I'd
stopped
look
recording.
down and it would just it wouldn't be recording
Yeah.
anymore.
In my rods, when we first got there, when I got them out, all I said was "show me," and they took me, like they guided me to that room, and it
To the Holocaust.
to the
room?
Holocaust. So definitely
Yeah.
some action or something.
Back to
Going
what,
on.
the car
Actually,
story.
It was right in front of there. I do believe that your phone turned off because you came over from that way and you were like, "Hey, something just turned my phone off."
My
'Cause I was
phone
still
did
in
It
the
show
room.
happened
me there
a couple
too.
times
Oh.
throughout the.
When
The
I,
other time was when I'll talk about
Well,
the
here-
thing with Lee, but when I was the first time we talked to him, it shut it off.
Here's
Oh.
the thing, though. Like, so that flag, obviously, you guys already talked about setting off this. Somehow, a flag was giving off this reading. What if that's whatever was setting off that flag was setting off making your guys' phones mess up when you went through it?
Yeah.
Could be.
And later on in the evening, we went back and retested it. I think you guys. I think there was some theme right there. Because later on, like
Remember that
a few hours later,
mannequin that-
yeah, we came back and tried it again. Nothing.
Yeah, it was.
There was
dead.
definitely something
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
And by the way, we checked to see. We looked at. There's no wires. There's no plugs.
Yeah,
There's
there
no
was-
nothing.
it was
It's
like-
literally a door frame.
Yeah,
You know.
there's nothing behind the
No.
wall that
Right.
the mannequin was in front of.
Yeah, it's just the little bit of the wall built out
Yeah.
for the
Yeah.
door.
Like for
Right.
display
So
purposes.
that's a scientific. That's data.
Yeah.
There's nothing that you could debate that. There is, in the absence of any electrical source, something caused an electrical disturbance.
Yeah.
So that's
Well,
something-
even if you put it on the, because we did that too. You put it up against this flag. It beep, 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 beep. You put it on the wall on the other side.
Yeah, I went around
nothing.
to the other
Zero.
side. Nothing,
Yeah.
Which
But-
is why.
So if
No
there's a
sense.
wire in the wall, it's going to do it
On
either
both
side.
sides.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, just the Nazi flag.
yeah.
Just the
And
Nazi
the,
flag.
and the uniform. It was not really a
It wasn't uniform. It was just a suit.
Yeah,
it's
or
like
a
a
jacket.
like a dress
yeah.
suit.
yeah,
Yeah.
dress suit from
But
a
whatever,
German.
it was
Yeah,
giving off
oh,
a
and
lot
that
of
that was
energy.
also spiking up
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
meters. And,
It was just-
and there's
it
no,
was- that's-
no electronics running through.
At
the
least three
dressmakers
different
company.
inanimate objects that shouldn't set anything off. The back of the truck, that flag, and the suit, maybe, if it was tied to somebody, like someone was, who died in that suit or whatever, that could make sense.
Oh, I almost forgot. I saw something shortly after you saw the figure walk around the
yeah.
ambulance. I was looking in the back of the ambulance and glanced up, and you could see through the windshield, and there something kind of moved out of the way. Like,
Was it like the same sort of figure, or you just couldn't tell? Like,
I mean,
what it
I'm blind. It had to
No.
be tall though, because I could see it.
like over
Because
the.
it's not, they're like little windshields.
Yeah.
So like it had to have been pretty decent size.
Yeah, and then when we were up in the library, I also pointed out a figure that you went kind of chased down.
Right, on the far
the
end of the
thing.
library, across the building, or from the suits, we had the REM pod over there and the, what do you call it?
The foot tracer thing?
The
Light tracer thing was going
tracer
on.
wire.
So I go over there to check it out. And then Lisa and then somebody else said that there's a dark figure behind me.
Oh,
So I went and reached for it. I could feel like energy and stuff. And there was noises, bang, things falling down. And then it kind of moved to the other side of the bookshelf. Then I went around there to try to see if I could get any kind of readings, and that's when you guys came.
Yeah, it was kind of like the same thing that I had saw downstairs, just like a dark figure.
When I was
that
in the
same corner was that REM pod was constantly
Yeah.
going off, and it wasn't like
That's the different REM pod we were talking about earlier.
and it wasn't like the malfunction ones where it just does that same
Yeah.
tone. It's changing, different lights are going off. It's got low tones,
Right.
high tones. It's
Which means
you
it's
know,
getting farther and closer.
it's
back
testing
yeah.
it out,
Yeah.
and it was just doing it for like a solid 10, 15 minutes just for that
Yeah,
one
yeah.
that one time,
Yeah.
and then later on it
Crazy.
did the same thing.
So, and we got a lot of readings over there too.
Yeah.
in the library area too. I was walking through. I had my phone in one hand, and I had the EMF reader in the other hand, and I have the screwy reader that
The one
that
that
got
got
screwed up at
fried?
the house.
Yeah.
I keep that in my pouch just in case, but I don't ever use it. It was off. Hadn't touched it.
bag.
My
Yeah,
belly
belly
bag.
bag.
But so like I'm sitting here, hands aren't touching any. All of a sudden, it redlines. It was on. It was locked.
You mean the one in your
The
pouch?
one turned off
And
in her pouch.
But it
Turned on.
it turned on
On.
and locked itself.
That
You know how there's like the lock on it to
Right.
keep it from turning off? I could not figure it because I'm like sitting here with 8 million devices in my hand
Yeah.
trying to, and it's just red
It's
line.
been off all night.
Yeah.
She's walking through,
When I was
turns
walking
on
through
in
there.
her bag, red lines.
And
in
let's
the
not
box.
forget too, Scott had the other, it's the same as hers.
Mhm.
The one we have, the other one.
Yeah.
And he was getting it redlining on crap
Yeah.
like crazy
Yeah.
too. And I mean, that's over 100 milligauss and up.
Yeah.
So it really is ridiculously crazy how much energy was
Yeah.
going coursing through this building.
So you want to talk some about your conversation?
Sure. What was the name of the room? Do you know the name of the actual room that we were in with Lee?
Just
It
that
had
main.
the
Okay.
model of
main-
the battleship and
the,
stuff.
Yeah.
the biggest room right beyond the lobby.
Yeah.
In the
first room.
The first room.
It had
yeah.
like some models of ships and different dioramas in it. So earlier in the night, I was with Bill and Lisa, and we have a device. It's a step tracker. It basically senses vibrations.
Worked phenomenally. Let me tell you that.
And it lights up and it also beeps. So that was sitting on the floor, and I was with Lisa and Bill, and I said, were you in like the service? And it said yes, and I was like, were you in the, I went through the different services, were you in the Navy? And it kind of beeped, so I was like, okay. And we talked for a few minutes, and then we kind of like, I think Lisa, you went off, I talked to Bill for a little bit, and then we walked away. So a little bit later, I decided to go back in there, and I just sat on the floor, and this senses vibrations. First off, the floor is concrete, so we tested it out. Like, you really have to stomp to set it off around there. So I'm just sitting cross-legged, like across from this. I kind of toss the spirit ball next to it to see if that'll go off. And I start asking questions, and I had found out that I asked if whoever I was talking to, if they had like memorabilia or anything like medals or something in that room. They said yes. I said, are you originally from Eldred? They said yes. Did your children donate whatever items are here? Yes. Was it maybe a son? Yes. Were you in the Navy? Yes. I went through and asked like different, like were you in your 20s? Were you in your 30s when you died? He was in his 30s when he died. Does your son come and visit you? Yes. Do you have grandchildren? And he said no. And I went to the curator, Steve, and I said, look, I got all of this information. And I kind of walked around the room and I was looking at the different books and whatnot, but I couldn't figure out who it was. And I said, do you have anyone that meets these criteria? He goes, I think that might be Lee. And he took me over to Lee's book. There were like a Purple Heart and different medals on the wall. He was a munitions expert. There were like letters that he wrote to his wife. He called her his dearest darling and all this. And when I started to look through his stuff, like the stepper started beeping, like, hey, that's me.
And it wasn't even near
And-
there.
No,
I mean,
it was on the other side of the room.
Other
And
side
this
of the
room
room.
is like a 60 by 45 foot room.
Yeah.
You
It was
probably
just-
should explain how you were getting yes or no.
Oh yeah,
Definitive
through
answer.
the stepper thing that I had been talking about previously, I would ask a question and it would beat for like a hard yes, and then kind of like when
And
you're
a beep
talking,
means it was a hard,
Yeah.
Hard
pound.
vibrate.
Yeah.
and
That's
it's
its
kind of
peak.
like, you know, when you're talking to someone and they just kind of nod and go, like it was kind of like when it would just blink a little bit. It
Would
was kind of
flicker.
like he was like,
Like,
yeah,
yeah,
but
or
then
a
when it was,
green, you
but
know.
when
Yeah.
I would mention his wife, it would
go
would
crazy.
beat.
Yeah,
I
like
thanked him for
excited,
his service,
Yeah.
and it
Excited,
beat.
yeah.
And
Yeah.
Yeah.
it was just like having
Well,
a
yeah.
conversation
You
with
had
a person.
And it said too that he stays there a lot because his son visits
He
him.
loves when
He goes-
his
yeah.
objects.
Yeah.
and that's the thing. His son did donate the items. His son does come and visit him. He also, when I was talking to him later with Lance, he also likes to go visit his son.
Yeah, he said he doesn't stay there.
Um,
He just likes to hang
Right.
out in the museum, but he goes and like visits his family and
And as we know, a lot of spirits travel pretty often. I should say too, Bill, in the beginning of that whole conversation when it was her and Lisa and then Bill and I walked up, we were trying to figure out where the man was deployed. And he said, you know, we guessed all these different places, and Bill said South Pacific. It starts, you know, like going on.
He was on the USS Intrepid. He was
yeah, very famous
aviator
ship.
3rd class.
So he
Not
was a-
aviator.
Um,
He's a munitions guy.
no,
he
No,
was,
the
he
he
rank.
was an aviator.
No.
Yes, but he was a munitions
He was a
expert.
munitions.
I
You
talked
can-
to Steve
Yeah.
about it.
He was not.
Well, in his books, I mean, in his it lists that. So
If
he
the-
must have did
that
some
must
flying.
be his rank then, because you said 3rd class, which
Yeah.
is
yeah,
more likely.
aviator is a pilot. He
But
was,
it could-
No, but it was a ship that had planes on
Yeah.
it. So
but he,
I don't
yeah,
know.
He was not supposed to go actually, because he was an ex. Like he had already done
His
munitions.
normal job could have been like a munitions thing, but in the wartime, they may have needed people who maybe was an aviator, who knows, or worked with aviation. Like I was in aviation
That's
brigade
what I
myself, but
thought.
I'm not an
Maybe he
aviator,
did
you know. Yeah.
loaded
Oh,
missiles
yeah, it
on
could've been with
the on the
Exactly.
planes.
And his
Yeah.
3rd
You
class
know.
is most likely his rank,
Yeah.
so it'd be like
Loaded the
three.
bombs
He,
on the planes or something.
He was not supposed to go. They didn't want him to go because he was working in the factory here in Eldred. They made
the ammunition,
munitions,
yeah.
you know. And he had to talk them into letting him go because he was
Yeah.
like, all my friends are there, like I should be there, and he ended up killed in action.
Yeah.
But the coolest
Okay.
thing was having Steve there to like
Verify
verify it,
Yeah.
because you
And
don't
validate
always,
what you
yeah,
did.
you
Oh,
don't
yeah.
always get like direct verification, and it was
Yeah.
just so
well,
cool
and
to
you
see
got
that.
so much information that Steve was like, oh, it's this guy,
Yeah,
And it's
you know.
and when we say it's not like we said this place, he's got thousands and thousands of pieces of equipment throughout this whole building, and I can guarantee you, Steve knows everything
Every
about that place.
piece
Yeah.
of
Like
equipment.
this dude did his research over the years of having all these things in there, and he's very knowledgeable about his stuff.
He
You
He
know,
can do
and
a
he's-
tour in
and the
his
fact that he can
Right.
remember
And he's
everything right off the
passionate
top,
about
you
it.
know.
I mean, he really is passionate.
Yeah, you guys got to go check this place out. It's remarkable.
but also Lee, like when I think it was Scott and Lance came to sit with me for a bit, and he had asked like, is there anybody here? Is there any spirit here that you're uncomfortable with?
Yeah,
And he
that's
was
where we got
referring
the
to the woman.
information from.
Like, is there anybody that makes you uncomfortable?
Yeah.
And he
And
pointed.
he was like, beep beep.
Yeah, and we kind of like through series of questions, like narrowed it down to her, and he did not want that exhibit there. He does not want her there. He wants.
Yeah.
He can't wait for that
He
to
was
be
not a
gone.
fan.
Unfortunately, and I can see that. You know, I'm sure every American soldier didn't want that, certain German stuff, certain Japanese stuff. But to be a true World War II, you have to show all sides. And
Well, you got to
so
think,
you
not,
can see
not
how
everybody
accurate it
there.
is, though. I wouldn't.
Oh yeah,
He
there
didn't
was a lot
seem
of
to mind.
Japanese.
Well, you got to think there's a lot of
memorabilia,
people that were in the war that did not. Most of them didn't want to be part of it, you know. So didn't want the war in general.
No,
So.
Lee didn't seem to mind this. He
He
did
just
not
didn't
like
want her there, and it
Yeah.
seemed
She
like
was
she
evil.
was attached to.
Excuse me, I was getting ready to say a bad word, but she's evil.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, I don't blame him.
No.
But
and yeah.
Use your imagination.
But it was
on
just,
that
he
word.
just seemed like a really sweet,
He was
friendly guy.
He was nice.
He
Oh,
was
I
very
love it.
responsive.
Yeah, he was nice.
very
He was cool.
excited. He
And-
said when he was in the Navy, he did a lot of things with electronics. So I asked him, so do you like playing
Yeah, he
around
liked
with
the
our stuff?
equipment,
And
like, he thought it
said
was
he liked
cool,
playing
you
with
know?
the equipment. The one time he set the spirit ball off, it was just, and then it was really cute. Like we asked him if it's okay if we go, walk around, and you can come with us if you want. And we were walking back through, I think I was going to the restroom, and I said, "Hi, Lee," and it beeps, like, immediately.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
he was saying hello.
So I want to
As was
mention
going
this
through.
too, because like when you were just saying, when you were saying hi to him, it beeps. It did that several times.
Mm-hmm.
Something in my eyes. I went to the bathroom. Keep in mind, Chrissy was talking to Lee for a good hour.
Yeah.
Something hit my face.
There's a little
Weirded
bug
me out.
flying around.
Yeah, and it's like I said, a good hour, right? So this is hours later. We're in the blue room, and I was going to the bathroom after all that activity we were getting, and I'm like, if this thing beeps, and I'm listening for it the whole walk there. See if I hear it, just so I know if it's just randomly going off.
Yeah.
It doesn't go off that I can hear. As soon as I walk in that room, beep beep, and it starts
Yeah.
flickering like crazy. I'm like, and I waved to. I didn't say anything because Steve
Yeah.
was getting ready to talk to me, and I was like, he goes, "Who are you waving to?" I was like, "I'm waving to Lee, because I guarantee you,
Yeah.
that's why that thing lit up."
But,
Same
really-
thing when
really-
I came through too. It's like, hey, Lee, and it's
Yeah, he's like, "Hey, how you doing?"
That video, it's labeled Eldred World War II Museum. I did have like a Facebook Live when I was doing that. So I apologize at times. It probably looks like the Blair Witch Project because I'm trying to look through I need to have a headlamp
I
when
should
I'm doing
probably
stuff
post
like
a
that. But I'm
TikTok
like
one
trying
time.
to search through the books
Yeah.
and hold the camera at the same time. But
I'll-
like the
yeah.
conversations on there.
I'll also post my TikTok ones on there, but I give fair warning, the signal was pretty spotty there. So if you see a bunch of skips and jumps in the video, it's because the signal went out.
So, is there any other exciting before we go to questions?
I had when I was doing, I think it was my last live, I was going through the hall to show the viewers where I saw the flash of light and the apparition. And I had the camera light on my phone, like so that you could see. No sooner did I get to that area and I started talking about it, and my flashlight shut off, and my phone glitched.
Nope.
Like it didn't show any of that area where the flash was or
Huh.
where the apparition
That's
was.
strange.
My whole screen went pixely, like all different, like
And those are the ones you gotta get a little bit
They're like
more.
this
Something you
distorted.
see every day on
No.
the smartphone.
yeah. So I'm just like, oh, sorry guys, I guess you can't see this because
It's not like she's got an old phone. She's got one of the newer Android phones.
Yeah.
So it's not just going to randomly happen the one
Pixelate,
time.
yeah.
So,
Yeah,
it's
so I
strange.
thought it was kind of weird. So I was just like, well, can't show you. So
Yeah.
I turned around and went back into where we had the boo, and my camera flash came back on, and my screen was
By
fine.
itself, like you didn't have to return it on.
It
or
was
anything?
fine. I was able to see everything again. It just was
It's weird
not.
how that happens.
Whatever was there
That's
did not want
strange.
everybody to
Yeah.
know
Did
that
one
area.
yeah, did
it
one
has the ability to stop it. Usually that's like an advanced
yes.
spirit or something that was never human in the first place.
Well,
Yeah.
it
You know.
seemed like it didn't.
Interesting.
Like the shadow figure
Sorry, our producer behind the camera just
choking to death. Yeah. It seems like if it's the same shadowy thing, like seems like it didn't necessarily want to be completely focused. Like whenever
I
somebody
also think
noticed
it was
it,
would
maybe
like noticed,
more
like
curious.
noticing was
Yeah.
like, ooh, hey.
Yeah, I think it was also curious as to what we were doing there too,
Yeah.
And it
Yeah,
would
which
make
made
sense
it
of why
where
as soon
we
as you
see
see
it
it,
sometimes, but
keeps
as
his
soon
head
as
back.
we try to engage it takes
Yeah.
off.
Also, I mean, that was a place we got. Like, I don't think anybody got anything on the spirit box. Really?
So we didn't. We got
Scott
like
did
a
have
couple random
things.
words.
Scott got a.
Oh, he
a
got
laugh
the
that
laughing, like
he
a
was
lot of
like,
maniacal
"Nope, I'm
Well,
done
no,
with this."
laughing.
We actually
No,
had quite a bit in the spirit box in that the truck room. Remember what all of us were doing?
We didn't get.
Lisa got a bunch of stuff. I
No,
heard
Lisa didn't hear stuff.
she kept seeing things. That's
yeah,
right.
and she felt.
Oh
but
yeah,
we
you
didn't
might
get.
want to explain that. 'Cause that's a little weird.
Yeah, we
too.
didn't
So-
get anything over the spirit box, but when we were doing it, we
We
get
got
stuff
it
on
on
the
there.
parabolic.
Yeah,
We hear
that's
stuff
true.
walking
Not
around,
actually on the
but
spirit
nothing
box, but
coming
yeah.
through the spirit
All right.
box.
So-
and I had a couple of weird experiences. Go ahead, tell what you were. She was trying to explain.
Keep in mind,
the way
she's
home.
completely blindfolded
And-
on the spirit box.
Yeah, no,
Yeah, so like they said, you wear a blindfold and you can't see anything. Like it's already dark in there,
Mhm.
but it's just like makes it more like pitch black. And you do have the noise canceling headphones on. I always put mine up the loudest, so like just
Yeah.
to make sure that
Yeah.
I can't hear
I'm also
anything.
deaf, so
I
I'm
did
like,
too, that too.
Not really much came through. Like a couple little things that they said, "Let's go." I don't know, but I also close my eyes and listen while I'm there. And I don't know, it's weird. I think it's weird that I see things instead of really hearing things. So I'm sitting there and then one figure kind of comes in and he's standing there by the truck. Or no, was it where we were sitting? So the
You were
ambulance
sitting-
is
we were
on the
right
left.
between the
was
two
on
trucks.
So one comes
left,
up by
yeah.
the ambulance and it's just kind of like standing there. It's just like an outline of a person. And then one comes up around the truck and they're like together. They're like facing each other and they're doing a bunch of stuff with like their hands. I can't make out what they're doing, but I don't know. I just thought it was weird. And then there was like a other little something over here.
the fact that you're seeing things when you got a
When you're
blindfold.
blindfolded,
Yeah,
that's
blindfolded.
weird. Yeah, yeah.
And then when I heard the one say "Let's go," the one took off. It
Yeah, I
went.
remember you saying
I was
that.
just like,
Yeah.
one just went that way, and I don't know what your guys'
Oh, and the other one's
reactions
gone.
were, but I don't know. It's kind of weird, but
That
kind of
is
cool
weird.
at the same
Yeah.
time.
Yeah, you did that.
There was one thing we got on the spirit box in the Holocaust room. Remember when I heard like "Get Out" when you guys were asking questions? And
That's
you're
right.
Like, you're like,
Very.
Because it wasn't answering much, and
Well,
and we were like,
yeah.
do you want us to just go? And that's like the only thing you hear. Get
"Get
out.
out."
Well,
And we were like,
It was like
I
a
wanna
very
say,
demanding.
I
"Get
forgot
out."
that before this, was it when you or Lance was on the spirit box? No, it was Lance, because you were behind me on the parabolic dish. I remember I was trying to do the Google Translate.
Oh yeah, to
And
the different.
We were doing
languages.
German and Polish,
Polish
and
And
Well, I know that,
Japanese,
yeah.
But
because it could.
we were
maybe
getting.
they-
I was translating it from their language or from English into their language, so that it would,
Right.
whatever. And we were getting what I think is responses to it, not like a bunch, nothing super crazy.
responses, but we couldn't understand them.
Well, the one was like,
Like they couldn't understand us.
yeah,
in
like we
English.
were, and Lance kept saying, I can't make it out. It doesn't. The one time I actually think he said it doesn't sound like English. If
That's
I'm
how
not
it was
mistaken.
with some of my EVPs that I
Yeah.
got when we went through the walkthrough.
So I think
Listen
whatever
to.
was, it knew what I was trying to ask, because I was like, we're here to ask questions. You don't have to be afraid of us, or something along those lines, whatever. And then he would hear something that's clearly not English, coming through in a room or a building that's got several hundred different,
oh yeah.
thousands.
I mean,
let's just say.
everybody was in World War II. I
Yeah.
think, Italians,
multiple different
Polish,
languages and
everybody.
Yeah,
dialects.
you
and everything
even
else.
tried.
French. We tried
He
French.
tried
when Hunter
French,
was on it.
like-
French, Polish, German. There was one other I think that you
Romanian.
tried, but
Jewish
He tried
language,
Romanian,
Hebrew.
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 Hebrew,
Hebrew,
and German. Yeah.
Polish, a bunch of them.
Yeah, Lisa did also say we did
Which
have
was
a
a
lot
really
of
smart tactic. I
Yeah.
think.
a lot of EVPs there too.
I-
Which we did the walkthrough and it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I forgot to mention it when we got there, but before we went, Shane and I were actually talking about that. Like, that we'll probably get stuff we can't understand because of different languages.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah, some of the EVPs that came through on my phone they had accents.
Right.
So we're definitely picked up some things with other
So
languages.
you had a couple other experiences?
Well, I was just gonna say on the spirit box, I did that for a while. I didn't see or hear anything, but something touched me on the back of my elbow once.
Oh
And
yeah, I
something
remember that.
Touched me on the back of my shoulder.
Didn't you say you got you feel like a burning on your shoulder or something, or was it your
No, I
neck?
could
Or
just feel it. It was
No,
a
you
weird
said you
spot.
were-
It was.
getting a burning feeling on somewhere. I don't remember what you said, but there was. I
Oh,
feel
I
like
think
a
that was
burning on something. I don't remember what, but
I
Um,
don't think I remember.
but no, it was just weird because I kept getting blown on. You could just from over my right shoulder.
Don't.
And by the way, we all experienced it.
That's true, I didn't forget
wind
about
that
I
came
forgot
out of
Yeah, I got
nowhere.
blown.
We all got
And it
blown.
kept getting blown.
We all got blown.
Yeah.
You just feel this cold rush of air. You know,
Oh,
it's
geez.
always good to get blown.
Yeah. No, but like
Yeah.
Shane's saying, like the room is big. It's concrete.
Yes.
There are no windows.
No.
There was a lot
Now
of
there
air.
was some overhead fans.
And on two air vents on the opposite corners of the room.
Yeah.
On the ceiling that's
But
25
But
feet
most
high.
of the time we were getting blown
you
from
get-
below, you know.
as one.
That cold
below
air
it
would
wasn't
burst.
coming
From below and from the side sometimes.
Yeah, that's what
It
you
would
get.
burst
Cold
out from under
gusts,
the truck.
gusts of
From all
air.
directions.
I like that I got blown from the front.
Yeah.
I mean,
At first, I was confused because it was blown over my right shoulder.
All right.
blowing from the left.
Sorry, guys. We were getting in this weird mood.
No,
all
but
day.
really, there was a
But,
truck
yeah.
there that a gust of cold air would come out.
Come out like from
Yeah.
underneath it, and there's
Yeah.
no vents, there's no fans under there.
Yeah.
But while we were sitting there,
And
you
no,
feel-
it's not the ceiling
just
vents
cold.
that are blowing that hard.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it'd be.
No, and it'd be downward.
Yeah.
Like this would
And-
come like.
Well, I'm
like
saying
something
if it was
ran
that
to
powerful,
Yeah.
it'd hit the ground and then come up. But
And
they weren't
to
that
be
strong.
consistent.
You know.
If you're feeling a constant force from a steady source, it would be all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
You
when
know, not just at
Yeah,
interest.
not
When I was
just
sitting
gusts.
in the chair and I said it feels like somebody's walking
Yeah,
alongside
like
of me.
you could
That's
feel
when
the
that's when
wind.
you could hear the footsteps. So that was. But were we
Well,
going to
with
do
that
some
being said, you want to
questions,
do
or-
like
Hey,
a,
Monk,
let's get.
Yeah.
do you have any questions from what we've said, or what you might want
He's
to
like I wasn't.
give him a
listening.
chance to say
I
Let's
something?
think Monkey would have
Get
been
one,
hilarious
maybe
there.
two questions.
Yeah, Monkey would have enjoyed it.
Yeah.
We'll
Oh, he
go
would have
back-
loved
go
it.
back sometime.
Yeah.
He's cool.
Well,
We already.
we didn't get. I guarantee you, not every one of us
Talk
got
about
to investigate the entire building.
No.
There's so much to that
I
building. that's,
even
you
feel
know.
like I even just barely got started.
I know, same. You had to keep jumping
It was
around 'cause
too
you can't
much.
stay in one. You got to get a little
Like
bit of
3
everything.
floors?
Yeah.
That's a lot to
3
cover.
buildings.
And
Three
when I
buildings
did go
and
up
3
by myself,
floors.
or just me and Lisa or something, we had a lot of action everywhere.
Yeah.
It's really cool.
Well, let's do like 1 or 2.
Let's, yeah.
Okay.
Depending on how long it takes.
We'll make Monkey answer some, so he's
A little
Okay,
more.
the first question we had was, how do you determine if a location is truly haunted or if there is a natural explanation for the phenomena experienced?
Dodson
How do we-
rods, UV.
How do we debunk things?
Well, pretty much
Well,
everything we
you got to
were
think.
saying,
One,
we
you have to
verified it.
think logically
Yeah,
because
yeah.
you can't just be like, oh, just whatever the case. You have to think. Well, if there's a reflection here, I see this little green light, like the Boo Bear at Owego.
Yeah.
It was a reflection through a reflection that we kept seeing.
Yeah.
You just have to think logically and.
So, Monkey?
Oh yeah, I forgot he was supposed to answer that.
Same.
Sorry.
Well, like we were just talking about the air gusts.
Yeah.
We feel like this, so we check. Okay,
We look
where
for
are
a
the
source.
fans?
Yeah.
Where are the vents? Where?
Everything we
That's,
tried to debunk. And
yeah,
believe
that's
me, we
exactly
do our
right.
due diligence. There's always some things that maybe we didn't know, but we always try to
Plus,
debunk everything.
Like with
You
EVP
learn the more as you go
readings,
too how to
Yeah.
if we get like high EVP readings, we look like, is there an electrical box here? Is there like shoddy wiring?
Oh,
like
EMF,
what's
yeah.
EMF? That's what I meant. But if we're getting anything like that, like we look around. You basically
yeah.
just
Right.
Yeah, we'll
Look at
actually
your
try to
surroundings.
trace the wire
Yeah.
to see like, okay, is this a wire?
Yeah.
Like, does this continue?
which we
And as we've learned pretty recently, certain types of like nickel and coiled wire that have friction,
mattresses.
right?
Yeah.
was it copper
will
and zinc?
set up an
Yeah.
EVP recorder.
Yeah, which
Yeah.
is
EMF
EMF.
recorder.
Yeah.
that's so weird.
Yeah.
I knew certain metals could,
Yeah.
but not to
Because
that
they have a
extent.
memory. They have
Yeah.
an energy memory.
Yeah.
And so when that makes sense.
They're
Yeah,
just
like
all
magic.
the
Yeah,
molecules
we
are
were
going
at-
like this the whole time, just constantly creating energy.
We were at the one
Yeah, okay.
woman's.
I didn't feel like that, but
Well, you
We
talk.
were at the one woman's house, and we kept getting readings on her mattress, and it's like, okay, is somebody sitting on the bed?
Yeah.
Is there a spirit on the bed? But then after we did some research, like the coils in some
coil.
mattresses conduct like electromagnetic energy. So we've actually learned a lot of
Didn't
scientific
you say
things.
it was
Right.
like an old
Solid
mattress
but
with zinc
flexible
coil?
metal.
Copper, zinc, and there was like one or two other ones that
Yeah.
are usually common in springs, box springs
Yeah.
that, you know.
And if you even think about it, when you're making metal move
Yeah, it'll
constantly, it causes
start to-
friction, and you know.
Get out.
Did you want to do one more? Or?
Yeah.
One
So,
more
so
quick one.
Monkey, what is your perspective on using psychics or mediums in paranormal investigations?
Oh, I probably shouldn't answer this.
No, go ahead.
I mean,
No,
it's fine to
it's
all
honest.
have our own opinion.
I don't get on board with most psychic and medium things. I just have speculation on that whole thing personally.
Yeah.
I'm just not a big believer in that type of dealing
Yeah.
going on with it.
I believe that there are certain people, and I believe, well, like Monkey. Monkey seems to attract stuff, something special about it.
He writes the short ones.
I believe a lot of them
Sorry,
out there
I
now
didn't
on
mean
Main
to say
Street,
that out loud.
they exaggerate their abilities.
Yeah.
But I do believe that, you know, I've met some people that are absolutely special.
Yeah.
Not
Well, I
just
think
Monkey.
Monk also brought that, but you think most people who claim it are full
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That's true. Most of them are
You
charlatans.
have to watch out who
And
you
these
talk
TV
to.
shows with them, that's
It
all
seems like
a
nowadays
hoax.
everybody is a medium of some sort, or
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
And it is a majority.
Yeah, I mean, I guess
there might be
They
2%.
predicted when someone was going to text them, oh, I'm a psychic.
I'm not saying I don't believe certain people can do that. It's just the majority of them, I feel like,
98%,
are.
Mike.
Yeah.
Hokey pokey.
I mean, I think if you have somebody who actually has gifts, it can be beneficial in an investigation.
Right.
You just have
And
to be careful
if
with who
you
you're
have an
working with.
experience when you start to meet these different people, there's some people who are just very intuitive and they kind of make people think that, right?
Yeah.
And you know, and then there's some people that just are really, you know, divine beings of some sort that
Yeah.
can really can tell you.
I think a good way to tell is if they're like, I'm a medium, I can come ghost hunting with you for $500. You're
Yeah.
like, I don't think you are.
Yeah.
And by I mean that some of them you have to make a living, but yeah, I think a lot. I
Well, a
think
lot
that
of it is,
there are people who
They-
are more apt to that, but I also think there's a lot of people out just in the world in general, in any field
Yeah.
that's
That
looking to take advantage of people.
can read body language and facial expression.
And they can
experts,
use
the
like
smallest
different
tick.
questioning and like the way they word
Leading
things.
questions,
Yeah.
which everybody would have the same answer for.
Yeah. Yeah, well, like you said, and we won't mention by name just because this is going to be on the internet and I don't know about legal things, but like there was a famous TV show where the guy got in some big trouble.
Yeah.
Because he was, you know, he's basically preying on people's grief,
Exactly.
you know, and he was just a con artist.
Yeah, if
In
you go
that
into a
case-
room and
I do believe a lot of these so-called, well, the fake ones.
Yeah.
A lot of times, they're still sometimes doing a service to someone.
Sometimes.
You're in grieving, and you know, even if they're fake, if they're telling this person, they're giving them closure, they're making them feel loved. It's not necessarily a bad thing. Now, if they're saying you have to pay me 5 times this week for more and more and more, that's different. But
Yeah.
if you're saying here's one time and you're done, and I won't do this, and they're giving their time to do that, making this person feel better, it's almost like therapy. And I don't think that's necessarily the worst thing.
Maybe,
you
but
know?
then if they get caught out like the TV guy, then you're also giving the legitimate people a bad
But he
reputation.
has
Exactly.
motives just
Then it
Oh yeah,
hurts
yeah,
the
yeah.
real people.
Yeah, oh, yeah, he was making millions off of it. But and then you're hurting the people.
The real
who
people.
Plus, if you,
legitimately
if
have-
you give
Yeah,
them
let's
false
look at it,
information, like that could really
Yeah.
affect them too. Like if they find out otherwise
Yeah.
later.
Right.
So
I think that's.
But
pretty
there
good.
are real ones.
Yeah. We've had some really good stories. You know, like with the natives, a medicine person.
Yeah, or
was a rare
seer.
guy, and he was special. And people, you know, but
A seer or a reader
Right.
in the
but
native
today, you know,
said
15
seal at first.
Indians out of that 50 are going to be medicine men. That's not how it really works, you
Yeah,
know.
exactly.
The percentages of that person is a lot smaller.
Yeah. But
No.
yeah, we want to finish up there.
Good.
world. I
Call
want
it
to ask
off.
Monkey another question.
Monkey don't want to be asking like
I'm
what.
good.
He's good. He's got
Well.
to get to his dare meeting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
With that being said, guys, feel free to check out our website. It's SpiritHunters.group. We got links to all of our store, our social media, everything on there. Check out our Facebook, YouTube,
Twitter.
Instagram, Twitter, all that. The link tree is also on our Facebook. It takes you right to it. Lisa just revamped our website, so if you really want to check that out, boost her up. She also has a blog, Ghostly Chronicles,
Recently updated.
recently updated.
Okay, so the things that you and Lisa were broadcasting live can be seen on those sites that you're
Yeah,
mentioning.
that's TikTok and all that.
TikTok,
Yeah.
Instagram,
Facebook.
Facebook.
Ooh, ooh,
On
ooh, ooh,
Facebook.
ooh, ooh. TikTok, we just hit over 1,000.
My
family. Yeah.
Shame.
We just recently hit 1,000, so we will be able to go live and view our podcast and investigation footage straight from there.
Yay.
So feel free to follow us at Spirit_Hunters_Inc.
Next thing we need to
Twitter,
get up is our
Instagram.
YouTube subscribers. And,
Oh, man,
and
yeah,
like.
please
so make
follow
sure you
our
subscribe and like it. And
Yeah.
OnlyFans.
Spirit Hunters Inc. on everything else.
On everything. Yep.
Well, with that being said, you guys
Happy
have anything
hunting.
else?
Yeah.
See you later, guys. Take care.
Bye.
Bye.